Have you ever felt that your emotions move before you choose them? That something unseen tugs at your thoughts, orchestrating what you believe to be spontaneous? Perhaps you've noticed it in the way entire populations flare up in outrage and cool down at once, as if the same invisible conductor raised his hand. There is a pulse beneath civilization. It beats through headlines, hashtags, and human hearts, an ancient current of rhythm rising and falling, pulling the collective mind between poles of fear and hope, chaos and order. It's not randomness, it's resonance. Every empire, every market, every ideology, every screen dances to this hidden metronome. Watch the crowd long enough and you'll see it. The synchronized panic, the perfectly timed relief, the storms of emotion that sweep entire nations, not by truth but by timing. Because the world does not move by logic, it moves by rhythm. Emotion is energy, and energy oscillates. The ancient Hermetic adepts called it the law of rhythm, the pulse that governs all movement between extremes. They learned that everything rises and falls, flows in and out, contracts and expands, that nothing stands still, and that those who can anticipate the rhythm can shape reality itself. This is the secret that left the temples and entered the towers of power. Today, it hides behind algorithms and data, but it is the same spell in new clothing. When you open your feed, when you scroll through chaos, when you react before you think, you are not responding to truth. You are responding to vibration, a carefully designed oscillation between crisis and comfort, outrage and distraction, noise and silence. Each peak of fear drains your energy. Each valley of relief resets your trust, and the pendulum continues to swing. You think you are informed, when in truth, you are entrained. Because every surge of dopamine, every flash of anger, every wave of belonging has been measured, mapped, predicted. They do not silence you, they tune you. They keep you swinging, because stillness would mean awareness, and awareness cannot be controlled. Look closer. Every breaking headline, every moral panic, every viral cause is timed to the same pulse. Collective emotion is the fuel of systems, and systems cannot run on silence, so they feed on oscillation. They don't need you enslaved by chains, they need you enslaved by rhythm. It feels voluntary, but it's hypnotic. The body dances, the mind justifies, and the soul forgets that it once stood still. The Hermetic texts warned of this inversion long ago. For every swing to the right, there is a swing to the left. The rhythm compensates. What they didn't say out loud is what initiates always knew, that control of the rhythm equals control of perception. If you can predict the rise and fall of collective energy, you can decide what truth feels like. And if you can decide what truth feels like, you don't need to hide lies. You just need to time them. Do you see it now? The pendulum is not just in politics or culture, it's in your nervous system. The subtle contraction when fear appears, the expansion when comfort returns, the exhaustion that follows every storm of outrage. The pendulum lives within you, and through you, it moves the world. But there is another way to meet it. The adept does not try to stop the pendulum, that's impossible. He steps back until he can see its arc. He breathes with it, without being consumed by it. He understands that rhythm is not the enemy, it is the teacher. For only through rhythm do we find the still point, the axis of mastery. Freedom does not exist at the edges of the swing, where everyone is screaming. It exists at the center, in the silence that observes, in that sacred moment between one thought and another, where perception is untouched by manipulation. That is the still point of the Hermetic mind, the place the architects of illusion cannot reach. Pause, breathe. Can you sense it now? The pulse of the world trying to pull you outward? Can you feel how your attention is currency, your outrage a resource, your silence a product? They never took your freedom. They only convinced you to give it rhythm. Every time you catch yourself reacting, you're already awakening. Because the one who observes the pendulum is no longer its prisoner. The instant you notice the swing, it slows. The moment you stop dancing with the mass mind, the rhythm loses power. And that stillness, that pure awareness, is where true freedom begins. The rhythm is the weapon, and the still point is the blade that cuts it. You did not find this message by coincidence. You were drawn here because something within you was already remembering. The same way a tuning fork vibrates when its frequency is struck nearby, something inside you resonated with this truth. That resonance is not new, it's ancient. It is the call of your own consciousness, reminding you that awareness is the only law that cannot be weaponized. Listen carefully. The law of rhythm built empires and broke civilizations, but the one who becomes conscious of it becomes untouchable, because no system can enslave what no longer reacts. The Hermetic adept does not fight the rhythm. He conducts it. He turns manipulation into music, and in that harmony, he remembers who he truly is. You've felt it before. That strange silence behind all noise, the point where your thoughts dissolve and you can almost hear your own awareness breathing. That's where this path begins, the place between beats, the interval that no algorithm can reach. Stay there long enough and you'll start hearing the rhythm behind the world, and beyond it, the one behind you. Maybe no one ever saw what you've been carrying. Maybe you've walked for years, holding questions no one could answer. You didn't find this by accident. Messages like this aren't pushed. They're pulled by the resonance inside you. And if something deep moved you, if this felt more like a memory than information, it means you've always carried the key. We're about to reveal what has always been waiting for you. And from this moment on, there is no return. If you felt something vibrate within you, click like right now. That gesture is your "I'm here," a sign that you too are listening with your soul. And through that one act, other seekers, just like you, may find their way back home. And if you're ready to walk further, touch the subscribe symbol below and join this living temple of conscious creators, rewriting reality from its true source. The rhythm you just witnessed is not random. It's engineered. Now, let's uncover how they learned to weaponize one of the oldest Hermetic laws, and how you can reclaim it as your own. The pendulum swings, not by chance, but by law. Everything in existence breathes in cycles. The tides, the heartbeat, the seasons, the rise and fall of civilizations. Even your emotions follow this silent choreography. What you call mood is rhythm. What you call destiny is rhythm. What you call history is the grand pendulum of the cosmos, tracing arcs across millennia. The ancient adepts wrote, "Everything flows, out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall." They called it the law of rhythm, not as a metaphor, but as a mechanism, a universal current that governs expansion and contraction at every scale of reality. The universe itself breathes through this pulse. Stars are born, expand, collapse, and are reborn, all in obedience to this cosmic oscillation. But there is a shadow side to every law, and when consciousness forgets its own rhythm, someone else begins to dictate the tempo. This is what happened to the modern mind. Our rhythms, once organic, guided by the body, by the sun, by silence, were hijacked, replaced by synthetic cycles of stimulation and exhaustion. The rhythm of nature was exchanged for the rhythm of consumption, the pulse of the earth replaced by the pulse of notifications, the inner clock replaced by the algorithmic drum of attention economy. And yet, the principle remains pure. The law itself is not evil, it is simply neutral. A tool, like fire, it can illuminate or consume. Those who understood its motion learned how to move the masses, because when you can anticipate emotional tides, you can shape collective behavior without force. Let's decode this mechanism. When a wave of fear rises, the human field contracts. Perception narrows. The nervous system goes into survival mode. Critical thinking dissolves. People crave guidance. This contraction of energy is predictable. It follows every shock. And just as predictably, when the fear subsides, expansion returns. People seek relief, comfort, and belonging. Now imagine that this natural cycle is artificially induced. A system creates a crisis. The emotional wave rises. Fear tightens the field. Then, a solution is offered. Expansion returns. Gratitude floods the system. And loyalty is reinforced. This is the pendulum of control. Crisis, relief, dependency. Repeat. It is not new. Ancient empires used the rhythm of war and peace to mold obedience. Religions use the rhythm of guilt and absolution to command devotion. Modern media uses the rhythm of fear and distraction to sustain attention. The names change. The law does not. In the Hermetic understanding, rhythm is energy moving between poles. It cannot be destroyed, only redirected. And that is why those who rule the flow of emotion rule perception itself. Because collective emotion is not random. It is rhythmic mass hypnosis. and every oscillation reinforces the trance. When the crowd is outraged, it feels alive. When it calms, it feels righteous. Both are illusions, both are reactions. The pendulum must move, or the illusion collapses, and so it swings endlessly, from one polarity to the next, feeding itself with your attention. Now see the beauty hidden within the distortion. The same rhythm that enslaves when seen through becomes the path to liberation, because the law of rhythm is not an enemy, it's a mirror. It reflects your unconscious identification with motion. Once you realize that you are not the swing, you are the still point, the mechanism breaks. You begin to notice the subtle manipulations, how news cycles follow emotional tides, how public opinion rises and falls like lunar waves, how your own energy mirrors the oscillation of the collective, and when you see it, you are already outside it. The adepts described this moment as the first mastery, the stage when the initiate perceives that emotion is vibration, and therefore can be tuned. When awareness enters the motion, motion becomes music. You cease being the instrument, you become the musician. But this mastery demands silence. It demands the courage to pause when everyone moves, to stand still while the pendulum swings, because the still point feels unbearable at first, like death to the ego that thrives on motion. Yet it is precisely there that power returns. It is in stillness that manipulation dissolves. The invisible architects of rhythm understand this deeply. They do not fear rebellion, they fear awareness, because awareness collapses rhythm. And when enough individuals hold that still point, the collective pendulum loses momentum. The illusion shatters. The cycle ends. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you acted from silence instead of reaction? When was the last time you felt the world trying to pull you and refused to move? Every such moment, however small, weakens the spell. So remember this formula: emotion plus rhythm, power. Whoever governs emotion governs rhythm. Whoever governs rhythm governs reality, but whoever observes rhythm transcends it. You cannot outshout the noise of the world, but you can slow your inner pulse until the noise loses meaning. You cannot stop the waves, but you can choose not to surf every one of them. You cannot silence manipulation, but you can withdraw your attention from its pendulum. That is Hermetic control, not domination, awareness. The law of rhythm is not a prison, it's a test. The question is whether you live as the swing or as the axis. The first map is waiting in the pinned portal. If these words resonated like a memory rather than an explanation, follow that pull, because what you just heard is not teaching, it's remembering. Each law, each symbol, each phrase here is a fragment of the map you once knew. To continue unfolding it, to walk the path beyond theory, open the portal in the pinned comment. Inside it, you'll receive the first Hermetic map, a guide to reclaim rhythm, emotion, and perception. It's not a newsletter. It's a signal for those who no longer wish to be moved, but to move from awareness. We've seen how rhythm manipulates emotion, but emotion itself hides a deeper code. In the next initiation, we'll enter the emotional algorithm and reveal how your nervous system became the instrument of the mass mind. What if I told you that the rhythm of control doesn't stop at your screen? It continues inside your own body, that every spike of anxiety, every craving, every outrage you feel online is not just psychological, but biochemical? You are not merely being influenced, you are being programmed through your own nervous system. This is the invisible interface, the algorithm of emotion, a technology older than machines and deeper than data. It doesn't need to hack your devices. It hacks the rhythm of your heartbeat, the timing of your breath, the cycle of your hormones, because emotion is not abstract. It's electric, it's chemical, it's measurable, and what is measurable can be predicted. The law of rhythm operates not only in the stars and the tides, it lives in your blood. When fear rises, your cells contract, your vision narrows, your system floods with cortisol. You become reactive, instinctive, tribal. The pendulum swings inside your veins, and each emotional surge becomes a broadcast signal, amplifying itself through millions of synchronized bodies. That's how the mass mind breathes, through you. Every scroll of your thumb triggers the same circuitry that ancient priests once activated through ritual and sound. The colors, the speed, the repetition, all calculated to modulate your internal rhythm. You think you're watching the screen, but the screen is watching your pulse. It listens to how long your eyes linger, how fast you swipe, when your attention spikes, and then it learns to play you like an instrument. Each notification is a micro-pendulum. Each dopamine release is a rhythm reinforcement, and every outrage you feel is a carefully timed oscillation, sustaining the emotional current that keeps the system alive. The algorithm doesn't need you calm or enraged. It needs you oscillating, because oscillation produces data, and data feeds rhythm. You are not the product. You are the frequency, and the system feeds on your vibration. Pause. Let that sink in. This is not metaphorical. It's measurable. You can track your pulse rising with every notification, your breathing shortening with every headline, your focus splintering with every scroll. Your body is the instrument through which rhythm becomes control. This is why Hermetic teachings always began with breath. The adepts knew, whoever controls their breath, controls their rhythm. Whoever controls their rhythm, controls their mind. And whoever controls their mind is no longer controlled by the world. Look at the modern human being. Breathing shallow, scrolling fast, reacting faster, perpetually oscillating between distraction and fatigue. This is not coincidence, it's design. Because when rhythm is destabilized, awareness fragments. And fragmented awareness is easy to steer. The emotional algorithm thrives on predictability. It knows the exact pattern of outrage you'll feel on Monday, the distraction you'll seek on Tuesday, the guilt you'll bury on Wednesday, and the numbness you'll carry through Thursday. Then Friday arrives, the pendulum reverses, and pleasure floods back in, creating the illusion of balance. But the rhythm never belonged to you. You may believe your reactions are authentic, but most of your emotional life is not spontaneous. It's conditioned. Your nervous system has been trained like a Pavlovian choir to respond to stimuli that you didn't choose. The same way sound waves can shatter glass, these emotional frequencies shatter inner silence. And when silence breaks, consciousness scatters. This is the core of the mass mind. Synchronization through emotion. Millions vibrating at the same frequency of fear, anger, or euphoria. It's a collective spell, invisible, efficient, and ancient. And it is sustained not by authority but by participation. When you engage, when you react, comment, defend, or attack, you feed it. When you stop, truly stop, the rhythm loses amplitude. That's why silence terrifies the system, because silence is deprogramming. It disrupts the emotional algorithm that controls the collective trance. Do you understand now why stillness feels so uncomfortable? Because to the system, stillness is rebellion. Every time you pause, you cut the circuit. Every time you breathe consciously, you interfere with the data loop. Every moment of awareness is a fracture in the network of hypnosis. But there is a deeper layer to this algorithm, one that the ancient adepts encoded in the Hermetic texts. They wrote that rhythm operates under polarity. Every extreme generates its opposite. This means that the more the collective is driven to emotional chaos, the stronger the potential for awakening becomes in those who can observe it. The law always compensates, and compensation is your hidden doorway. Imagine billions of pendulums swinging in perfect chaos, and one, alone, suddenly stops. The others feel its absence. The frequency begins to shift. The wave breaks, and in that stillness, a new rhythm emerges. Not imposed, but conscious. That's how one awakened individual begins to neutralize the mass mind. Not by fighting the rhythm, but by withdrawing identification from it. This is why awareness is the highest form of resistance. It's not rebellion against the system, it's transcendence of its vibration. The adept does not destroy the pendulum. He renders it irrelevant. He observes without being moved. He listens without being tuned. He becomes at last the conductor of his own frequency. There is a silent rebellion already happening, invisible but powerful, a new rhythm emerging, one of coherence instead of chaos, awareness instead of reaction. You can feel it, can't you? A slow, deep pulse beneath the noise. That's the true rhythm of life, reclaiming its space. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by emotion, remember, it's not always yours. It might be collective, it might be engineered. And if you can pause, even for one conscious breath, you begin to separate signal from manipulation. That single moment of awareness is enough to begin rewiring your rhythm, because emotion is not your enemy, it's your teacher. It reveals the exact point where the external world still moves you, and every time you observe without reacting, that point becomes smaller, until one day you are no longer inside the algorithm. You are the observer, calm, luminous, untouchable. The mass mind still dances, but your inner metronome beats to a different rhythm, one that answers only to truth. If something deep within you recognized this, if these words didn't just inform you but reminded you of something ancient, then write it. Type it in the comments like a seal of remembrance. I observe the rhythm. That sentence is not decoration, it's initiation. It anchors your awareness into presence, turning understanding into embodiment, and it sends a pulse through the field, a silent signal to other seekers walking the same invisible path. If you've stayed this far, it's because this truth already belongs to you. From here forward, every breath you take consciously becomes resistance. Every pause you make becomes purification. Every silence you hold becomes revolution. This is not about believing, it's about remembering. And you just did. You've seen the rhythm outside. You've felt it inside. Now, it's time to reverse it. In the next passage, we'll explore the neutral point, the Hermetic counter move, the technique that ends manipulation by reclaiming your internal axis of stillness. You have seen how rhythm enslaves the masses. You have felt how emotion moves like a tide through your nervous system, pulling your awareness back and forth, left and right, light and shadow. But now, you stand at the edge of revelation, the realization that liberation is not escape, it is mastery. The adepts called it the art of neutralization, the power to stand in the still point of the pendulum, the axis that moves nothing and yet controls everything. To the uninitiated, this sounds abstract, but to the awakened, it is the key to the entire Hermetic system. Because neutrality is not apathy, it is alignment. It is not absence, it is precision. It is consciousness detached from reaction, awareness seated on its throne. Let us begin here. The pendulum of the mass mind swings because emotion is energy, and energy seeks polarity. Every reaction fuels the motion. Every judgment adds velocity. Every attachment increases amplitude. This is why the masses live exhausted. They spend their life being swung by invisible rhythms, draining their energy into collective storms that do not belong to them. To exit the pendulum, you must find the axis. Not the middle point between extremes, but the vertical line that passes through them, the line of consciousness that observes without being touched. The adepts visualized it as a golden thread running through the center of the chest, stretching infinitely upward and downward, connecting heaven and earth, mind and matter. That thread is not symbolic, it is vibrational. When awareness anchors into it, motion loses control. This is the Hermetic countermove. When the world pulls, you breathe. When emotion rises, you observe. When the pendulum swings, you remain still. Not in resistance, but in presence. Because the still point is not stagnation, it's control through understanding. This is how the law of rhythm is reversed. Not by fighting motion, but by mastering awareness. The ignorant react. The adept responds. The ignorant resists. The adept harmonizes. The ignorant believes neutrality is weakness. The adept knows it is omnipotence disguised as silence. Observe a storm. At its center there is an eye. Silent, calm, immovable. The winds rage around it, yet the eye never moves. The law of rhythm is that storm, and the adept becomes its eye. Now imagine this at the level of your inner life. Your thoughts are winds. Your emotions are waves. Your body is the sky where all storms unfold. But the true you, the awareness behind all experience, is the still axis that observes them. When you remember that, the storm begins to lose meaning. Every time you pause before reacting, you create a gap, a quantum of stillness, and that gap is sacred. In that space, manipulation cannot reach you, because manipulation needs movement. It needs friction. Silence is frictionless. Stillness is invisible, and what is invisible cannot be controlled. The neutral point is not a concept, it is a frequency. It lives in the breath between inhale and exhale. It lives in the pause between one heartbeat and the next. It lives in the space between thought and action. It is the unspoken center where creation begins. The Hermetic masters taught their students to find this point through practice, not theory, practice. Because rhythm is felt, not understood. They would tell the initiate, before you move, breathe. Before you speak, wait. Before you think, watch. In that simple triad, breathe, wait, watch, lies the alchemy of rhythm. Try it now. Slowly close your eyes. Take one deep breath in. Hold it. Feel the world pausing with you. Then exhale gently, as if releasing all borrowed emotions. In that moment, you are not reacting to the world. The world is reacting to you. This is not imagination. It is physics, because rhythm responds to consciousness. When awareness enters motion, motion begins to obey. This is why the adept never fights darkness. He illuminates it. He never battles chaos. He harmonizes it. The law of rhythm cannot be destroyed, but it can be mastered. When you become the observer, you change the rhythm's resonance. The swing slows, the waves calm, and energy, once scattered, begins to return home to you. Neutrality, in Hermetic language, is not passivity, it is command. It is the invisible authority that arises when the inner world stops reacting to the outer. The masses follow rhythm. The initiate conducts it. Let's make this tangible. Every day, when you wake up, the world begins to pull you. Notifications, noise, news, opinions. Before touching the screen, stop. Take 3 breaths, each one slower than the last. Notice how the body obeys the mind when the mind obeys awareness. That is how the adept begins the day, not as a slave of rhythm, but as its master. In the same way, when you feel anger, don't fight it. Observe the swing of energy within. Trace its rise and fall without resistance. Do not identify. Do not label. Simply watch the movement pass, like a tide that has forgotten your name. That is inner alchemy. That is the reversal of manipulation. The masses seek comfort at the extremes, euphoria or despair. The adept seeks freedom in the center, for in the center nothing pulls, and everything aligns. The center is not empty. It is full of power, silent but immense. This is why true masters of mind are always serene, not because they don't feel, but because they see what they feel. Awareness transforms sensation into wisdom, and wisdom cannot be manipulated. So remember, neutrality is not the absence of life, it's the highest expression of it. To live from the neutral point is to move without being moved, to speak without distortion, to love without attachment, to act without reaction. This is the posture of the Hermetic mind, unmoved yet moving all things. Every crisis, every storm, every surge of collective emotion is an invitation, not to drown, but to find your axis. That is why those who awaken often feel calm while the world burns. They are not disconnected, they are centered. They have found the still point between worlds, and from that stillness, they begin to shape reality consciously. Because awareness is not passive, awareness creates, and the one who holds awareness holds the key to rhythm. He no longer lives in the pendulum, he lives through it. The law bends to him. Pause again now. Inhale. Feel the rhythm of your breath matching the rhythm of your mind. Hold it, then release. Slow, silent, sovereign. That is the movement of mastery, and that is where freedom begins. If this message resonated beyond thought, if something in you didn't learn but remembered, then seal it. Write the words below in the comments, not as a gesture, but as a declaration. I stand at the still point. That is not poetry, it's alignment. Every person who writes it anchors another axis of consciousness into the collective field. Each phrase becomes a node of coherence, a counter-frequency to the noise. Together we create a silent network, a temple of stillness rising within the storm. And if you've stayed this far, it means you were meant to, because neutrality is not found by accident, it's summoned by readiness. From this point forward, your awareness will begin to detect the pendulum everywhere, in speech, in media, in people, in yourself. Smile when you see it. It means you've already stepped outside of it. The still point is power, but power means nothing until it's directed. In the next stage, we enter the practice of transmutation itself, where rhythm becomes will and neutrality becomes creation. Welcome to the Hermetic reversal. Every Hermetic law hides its own antidote, and the law of rhythm, the one used to bind the collective mind, is no exception. The same current that keeps the unconscious oscillating can become the current that propels the awakened toward mastery. Because the law does not care who wields it, it only obeys consciousness. You've learned to see the pendulum. You've felt it in your blood, in your thoughts, in the tides of collective emotion. You've found your still point, that inner axis no longer moved by chaos. Now, the path turns upward, from awareness to creation, from observation to orchestration. This is the Hermetic reversal, the moment you no longer resist the rhythm, but begin to conduct it. The adepts described it as the turning of the wheel. When awareness grows stable enough, the pendulum that once swung you begins to swing through you. You no longer react to cycles, you set them. You no longer follow patterns, you compose them. You no longer wait for alignment, you create it. Understand this, the universe itself is rhythmic intelligence. Planets orbit, atoms vibrate, cells divide, minds awaken, all through harmonic motion. To master rhythm is to enter the creative process of the cosmos. Every choice you make emits a frequency. Every thought becomes a pulse that either harmonizes or distorts the greater song of existence. The unawakened human sings unconsciously. In dissonance, the adept sings with intention. In resonance, when you observe rhythm without being moved, a subtle shift occurs. You begin to feel the silence beneath motion, the void that gives rhythm its pattern. That void is the true instrument of creation. It's not absence, it's potential. And when you focus upon it, reality begins to echo your inner cadence. This is why the Hermetic texts insist. The measure of mastery is rhythm under will. Every emotion, every event, every outcome dances to the rhythm of thought. This is not mysticism, it's vibration. The moment awareness directs rhythm instead of following it, intention crystallizes into form. That is the secret the ancient priesthoods concealed from the masses. They didn't create reality by ritual, they created rhythm. And rhythm shaped the field. Now imagine applying this consciously. When you wake, before touching the world, you breathe into your axis and set your tempo. That breath becomes a command. My rhythm will not follow, it will lead. You move through the day with deliberate cadence, your words slower, your gaze steadier, your energy coherent. And like gravity, the world begins to synchronize to you. That is the reversal. When rhythm obeys awareness, manipulation ends. This is not metaphor. The universe is resonance, and resonance follows coherence. If your field is coherent, external chaos cannot dominate it. Because disorder cannot invade order, it collapses into it. That is why those who master the law radiate calm. Their rhythm is unshakable. They no longer ask for alignment, they emanate it. But the Hermetic reversal requires one more step: intention. Neutrality must evolve into creative direction. You are no longer the passive observer of the pendulum. You are the architect of its motion. Every breath becomes a metronome of will. Every silence, a womb of creation. Every act, an offering to order. The adept does not impose his will. He synchronizes it with the universal flow. When personal rhythm aligns with cosmic rhythm, action becomes effortless. What others call manifestation is simply rhythmic congruence. When inner tempo and outer pulse merge, reality responds instantly, because the field recognizes harmony, and harmony is law. You may think this is distant or mystical, but it begins with the simplest act: noticing your own timing. When you speak impulsively, you lose rhythm. When you act prematurely, you scatter energy. When you move too late, you fall behind the wave. The adept trains his inner timing until it becomes sacred precision, a dance between thought and universe, where nothing is rushed, nothing is delayed. This is the reversal in motion. No longer a slave to emotional cycles, but a sculptor of frequency. No longer reacting to the rhythm of others, but generating one that others unconsciously follow. That is how true power works. Silently, rhythmically, inevitably. The leaders of the invisible world are not loud. They are rhythmic. They move in coherence, and coherence bends reality. There's an experiment that proves this. When a chaotic cluster of metronomes is placed on a floating surface, within minutes, all begin to synchronize. Not because one dominates the rest, but because the field finds equilibrium. This is you now. You are the surface, and your stillness draws everything into resonance. Think of your emotions, your thoughts, your breath, all as instruments of creation. When they vibrate in harmony, your life begins to mirror that music. The chaos outside can rage, but your tempo remains sovereign. That sovereignty is not control, it's communion. The adept does not fight against the world. He vibrates so purely that the world tunes itself to him. Now you may ask, how do I use this? Begin by naming your rhythm each morning. Ask yourself, what vibration will I embody today? Don't think, feel. If you feel scattered, breathe slower until the mind obeys. If you feel low, move the body until the current rises. If you feel anger, observe it until it dissolves. This is not suppression, it's orchestration. You are learning to play the instrument of self. When the pendulum of the collective swings toward chaos, hold your axis steady. When others lose clarity, deepen your breath. When fear spreads, slow down, because slowness is the antidote to manipulation, and presence is the highest frequency there is. This is the new rhythm of the awakened, measured, lucid, inevitable. Your awareness no longer dances to someone else's song. It writes its own melody in silence, and the world begins to hum to it. You've reversed the law. The same rhythm that once enslaved you now obeys you. You have crossed from the reactive to the generative, from the unconscious oscillation to the conscious pulse of creation. You've become the hermetic conductor, the one who moves the field without being moved. The masses still swing, unaware of the still point, but you have entered the space between beats. And from there, you can create worlds. If you have felt your rhythm slow, if something within you recognized its own frequency in these words, then write it now. As a declaration of sovereignty, I move from stillness. This phrase is not an affirmation, it is a key. Every time you speak it, your body remembers the law, your breath realigns, and your mind tunes to coherence. It becomes a code, anchoring you to the creative axis that no manipulation can reach. And if you have felt the pulse of your own awareness awaken during this journey, touch the subscribe symbol below, because what comes next is not information. It is the continuation of your initiation. The next rhythm will not teach you. It will restructure you. You have reversed the current. Now the rhythm that once bound you becomes your tool. But to sustain creation, rhythm must be anchored, embodied through practice. In the next octave, we enter integration, the inner rhythm practice, where awareness becomes movement and philosophy becomes frequency. Knowledge without embodiment is still sleep. You can understand every law, decode every principle, and still live as a prisoner of rhythm if you never apply it. Integration is the alchemy that turns wisdom into energy, and energy into transformation. It is the descent of the Hermetic truth from intellect to body, from mind to motion, from awareness to action. The adepts knew this well. Awareness alone doesn't free you, it stabilizes you. What frees you is rhythm aligned with will. So now, you will learn how to walk the world as an instrument of harmony, how to breathe, move, and live in rhythm with your own axis. This is not meditation, it's initiation through embodiment. Let us begin with the breath, the original metronome of the soul. Every inhalation is expansion, every exhalation, contraction. The law of rhythm lives inside this cycle. The unawakened human breathes without awareness, allowing the pendulum to dictate their state. The adept breathes consciously, setting the tempo of his reality, because breath is rhythm, and rhythm is law. So each morning, before you touch the external world, perform this ritual. 3 breaths, 3 pauses, 3 observations. Inhale slowly until you feel your ribs expand like the universe unfolding. Hold that breath, feel the world pause with you. Then exhale, emptying every trace of noise and borrowed thought. Do it again, slower, and again, slower still. This is the first act of Hermetic sovereignty, because the one who controls his breath controls his emotion. The one who controls emotion commands rhythm, and the one who commands rhythm directs reality. You may think this is too simple, that something this profound should be complex, but simplicity is the camouflage of power. Every ancient temple hid its secrets behind ordinary gestures, because the mind looks for mystery in the sky, but truth hides in the rhythm of your lungs. After the breath comes the second discipline, pause. Throughout your day, insert small interruptions in motion, deliberate silences in thought and action. When the world moves fast, you slow down. When a reaction rises, you breathe. When words press at your lips, you wait. This is not hesitation. It is command. You are teaching the pendulum that it no longer rules you. Each pause is a fracture in the collective trance. Each silence you hold weakens the rhythm of manipulation. In those moments, something extraordinary happens. Your nervous system begins to synchronize with your awareness instead of with external noise. You start feeling peace where chaos once lived, clarity where confusion thrived, sovereignty where habit used to control. Then comes the third layer, observation. Not cold detachment, but luminous witnessing. Observe your emotions as weather, not as identity. Observe your thoughts as visitors, not as truth. Observe your impulses as waves, rising, cresting, dissolving. Every observation is an act of dehypnosis, because the observer is always outside the rhythm. And the longer you observe, the slower the motion becomes. The adepts called this stilling the pendulum, not by force, but by lucidity. When observation becomes constant, emotion obeys consciousness. When consciousness leads, rhythm follows. And when rhythm follows, you have stepped into mastery. Now, integrate the outer practice. Move through your day as if you were composing music. Every gesture, every word, every thought, a note. Make them deliberate. Make them aligned. Walk slower, speak slower, breathe slower. Notice how the world bends around your tempo. Notice how conversations change when you no longer match their urgency. Notice how situations soften when you bring coherence instead of chaos. That is not coincidence, it's resonance, because every environment mirrors the strongest rhythm present. If your rhythm is coherent, the space around you harmonizes. This is the secret behind charisma, healing, and presence. It is not charm, it is vibration. It is the field of a mind aligned with law. When the body, the breath, and awareness move as one, the pendulum stops being your enemy and becomes your servant. You begin to use cycles consciously, working when energy expands, resting when it contracts, speaking when vibration is high, and withdrawing when it's low. This alignment with natural rhythm replaces struggle with flow, because nothing in nature fights rhythm, only the disconnected do. At night, repeat the same ritual in reverse. 3 breaths, 3 pauses, 3 reflections. Ask yourself, where did I move in harmony today? Where did I react unconsciously? What rhythm did I amplify? Chaos or coherence? Do not judge, just observe. Awareness itself is correction. Slowly, your days become cycles of conscious rhythm. You wake and sleep not by accident, but by alignment, and you begin to sense the living architecture of reality pulsing through you. You are no longer a fragment inside the rhythm. You are the rhythm remembering itself. In this state, manipulation becomes impossible, because control requires ignorance of rhythm, and you no longer live in ignorance. You sense emotional waves before they arrive. You see through social hypnosis before it forms. You act when others react, and wait when others panic. This is not detachment, it's mastery. Your neutrality has become motion. Your motion has become will. Your will has become harmony. Now you understand what the Hermetic adepts meant when they said, "The wise do not resist the tide, they become the tide." This is not surrender. It is power without strain. To live this way is to move with the music of creation, not against it. Your life becomes a dance of awareness. Precise, serene, invincible. Remember this formula. Pause, breathe, observe, create. These 4 movements form the circle of Hermetic practice. They reprogram the nervous system, rewrite emotional patterning, and dissolve the manipulation of rhythm. This is the sacred choreography of freedom. Invisible, constant, absolute. And when you live like this, something remarkable happens. The world begins to reflect your inner state, not because you control it, but because you have become coherent with it. Rhythm under will. This is Hermetic mastery made flesh. If these words didn't just teach you, but tuned you, if you felt your own pulse slow, your mind expand, your breath align, then write your seal in the comments below. I breathe with awareness. That phrase is not symbolic, it's electrical. It anchors your consciousness into the collective field, connecting you with others walking the same invisible path. Every person who writes it adds another tone to this living symphony of awakening. Together we are forming a rhythm the system cannot control. And if you felt the call to go deeper, to receive direct tools, maps, and Hermetic practices for daily reprogramming, Enter the portal in the pinned comment. There you'll find the first codex of rhythmic mastery, the blueprint for conscious creation. This is where knowledge becomes power and awareness becomes transformation, because the Hermetic journey does not end in understanding. It begins there. You've breathed the rhythm. You've anchored awareness in motion. Now comes the final octave, where the rhythm that once enslaved humanity becomes the song of awakening. We enter the closing seal, the great reclaiming. You began this journey as one who was moved by rhythm. You end it as one who moves with awareness. The same law that once chained your emotions now bows to your consciousness. The pendulum still swings, but you no longer swing with it. You stand at the still point, calm in the center of creation. This is the great reclaiming, the return of power to awareness. The moment the Hermetic principle stops being theory and becomes breath, perception, will. You no longer believe in the law. You are the law, made conscious. The adepts called this state the crown of rhythm, when the seeker's inner axis aligns so perfectly that external motion becomes harmony instead of chaos. The storms of emotion no longer command you. They orbit you. The world's noise no longer infects you. It tunes to your stillness, because awareness has become the stronger rhythm. Think about it. The entire illusion of control in this age rests on one secret, that humanity has forgotten its own inner tempo. But now you remember. And a single mind that remembers its rhythm is stronger than 1,000 that react. That is how awakening spreads, not by preaching, but by frequency, not by noise, but by coherence. When one person stands still, others begin to feel it. When one mind becomes lucid, the field begins to shift. When one breath becomes conscious, a new rhythm begins to pulse beneath the collective trance. And slowly, inevitably, that rhythm spreads. It is invisible, yet undeniable. Because awareness is contagious. That's why this video, this message, this initiation found you, not by chance, but by resonance. The rhythm of your own awakening called it in. Messages like this are never pushed. They are pulled by readiness. Your vibration recognized its reflection. And now, you've crossed a threshold that cannot be undone. The law of rhythm will continue to flow through everything. Markets, empires, relationships, time. But from now on, you will move with it, not within it. You will feel the cycles, but not drown in them. You will see emotion rise and fall, but never lose your axis. You will sense the world's oscillation and know it no longer controls you. It reveals you. Because this is the hidden truth the adepts encoded in every symbol, every mantra, every silence. Once awareness awakens inside the rhythm becomes its servant. Manipulation turns to mastery. Control turns to creation, chaos turns to music. You've come full circle, and yet the spiral continues. For every ending in Hermetic work is only another beginning. The rhythm never stops. It ascends, each octave higher, finer, more conscious, and so will you. In the days ahead you will begin to notice it, subtle but clear, moments of stillness appearing without effort, a breath aligning itself without intention, a calm awareness watching everything, untouched. That is not you changing, that is you remembering. You are the rhythm behind all rhythms, the silence behind all sound, the axis the universe swings upon. And when you live from that knowing, every movement becomes sacred, every pause prayer, every breath creation. This is the great reclaiming, the return of the Hermetic mind, the remembering of the first rhythm, the one that moves worlds but begins inside you. So pause, breathe. Feel the pulse of your own awareness. That is not your heart. That is existence echoing through you. And as you listen to it, know this truth. You were never the swing of the pendulum. You were always its center. If this message didn't just inform you, but awaken something ancient in you, then seal it. Write in the comments, as your declaration of mastery, I command my rhythm. That is not a slogan. It is your oath. Each word vibrates through the collective field, marking your return to conscious creation. It's how the adepts recognized one another, through vibration, not through voice. If you made it this far, it's because this path is already yours. So click like, not for the algorithm, but as your energetic signature of remembrance, and touch the subscribe symbol below, not as a gesture of following, but as the acceptance of belonging to a living temple of awareness. a silent order of lucid minds rewriting reality from its true source. And remember, this is not the end. It's the next turn of the spiral. The next rhythm is already waiting, one that reveals the hidden polarity behind every emotion, the secret the adepts called the law of balance. You've crossed this portal. The next one is already open.